It's all going wrong again. Hello there, how are you? It's Wednesday the 16th of December 2020. I have to do that. I've got it written up here because my mind, I'm already in 2021. 2020, let's forget all about it, I think. I know some of you will be watching from Germany, and I know you've gone into a serious lockdown again today. It's all happening, isn't it? But anyway, this is the Wednesday drawing show. Welcome, welcome. We can forget all about what is going on out there in the world and just concentrate on what's happening here. We got Judy says, good afternoon, Shoo, from my shed to yours. Thank good it's Wednesday. TGI Wednesday. It's a perfect antidote to the rain outside. It's stopped raining here, actually. I think it's headed over your way. I think it's been sweeping across the country, but it's still grey. And it was very, very wet this morning. Ugh. So, how are we doing? We got Charlie B says hello, and X Phantom X says hi, Shoo. Sorry, no, it's hi, Shoo. Patrick Haugen says hello from Norway. Guten Abend. I was going to say guten Abend. I was going to say good middag. And Lawrence, hi Lawrence, how are you? Lawrence from Bexhill checking in. Looking forward to the Wednesday drawing show. Hi, how are you? Daniel Fleischman, hello from Houston, Texas again. We are all over the world. Oh, I see, I'm getting vain. I can see my hair. I had it cut yesterday. I did, yes. I'm not vain at all. Shrishti says, hello from India. Hi there, how are you? So we really are all around the world. And I've been thinking what to draw again. And well, it's still coming up to Christmas here in the UK, and so I thought I'd do a kind of Christmassy kind of theme thing again, which I know doesn't kind of fit with everybody else around the world, but you know, some people are in beautiful sunshine and some people don't celebrate Christmas. But here in the UK, I think Christmas just it's become quite a secular kind of thing as well, and so I know in the States you call it holiday season, and but we just, I think, yeah, we use the word Christmas pretty much like holiday season now, I think, and we like to think of snow and reindeers and Santa Claus and stuff like that, but we don't really get much snow anymore. Certainly not around Christmas. Haven't seen a white Christmas for a while, and I live about 300 meters up in a place called the Forest of Dean, and so from where I look, in fact straight out across to there, there's nothing to stop the weather really coming in from the Atlantic, except maybe bits of Ireland and bits of Wales, but it kind of comes straight across, and because we're that bit higher, we get snow here where I am when other people don't, and quite often we've been completely snowed in, and just sort of 200 feet down below everybody's having a lovely day, and it's no snow or anything like that. And we live quite near, our nearest town is called Gloucester, and the saying always is, if there's an inch in Gloucester, there'll be 3 inches of snow in the forest. And so in Gloucester, as soon as it starts snowing there, people who live in the forest go, oops, I'm off, and they get in their cars and start driving before it all gets too slippery and they can't get home again. So, but it's just rain here. We did have some, it did actually settle last week. We had a tiny smattering of snow, but the ground was too warm and it didn't really stay very long. But that's kind of not got a lot to do with it, but it's got quite a lot to do with the drawing I thought I might do today. But let's just have a look and see what else we have. Phantom X says, I'm never going to forget that, lol. Patrick Haugen, good ettermiddag, god ettermiddag. And jeg snakker lite norsk, but I don't speak much Norwegian. Pat Walker says, hello. Kana TV says, hello. 3 exclamation marks. That'll be hello or hello, something like that. Bobby Heron, hi Bobby, how are you? Hi Bobby from NH. My first time here, quite pleased, good. Well, I'm hoping to have you on, I think, aren't I? Eventually, we're going to get there. And Jessica Taylor, how do you draw bruises on characters when they've been in a fight? Well, I was thinking of drawing a snowball fight. I will maybe come back to that later, Jessica. I was thinking of having a snowball fight, and I kind of did a quick little sketch, and it was quite violent. And I thought it's not really what you want on a Christmas card. So I thought of maybe doing something a bit more Christmassy, as kind of making a snowman. So I'm going to go over to the overhead camera, and I'll see you in just a moment. There we go. And this is what I've been drawing today. This will be on Draw Stuff Real Easy, and this is a watercolour version that I've done for my patrons on Patreon. So they'll be getting a little bit extra, as you do, if you want to come and support me on Patreon. Now, let me get a piece of paper there. And so what I thought was to find my glasses first. I haven't. Every time I go out, I kind of take my glasses off and leave them by the door, and then when I come in, I never kind of put them on again, and then I look for them and I search for them. But there they were all along. So I'm going to start with, this is going to be a snowman, and that's going to be kind of his head. And I know I've been having a discussion in the comments just recently about snowmen, and I can't remember who was saying, when did snowmen stop being made out of kind of 3 balls? And I don't know. I think it might be the Snowman movie, Something in the Air, that one, which kind of changed it a bit, I think. Actually, I'm just going to bring that in around there. And Raymond Briggs, isn't it, who did that artwork? And I think he sort of chose to have his snowman in this kind of shape, so that he can kind of stand up and then have legs. And I think sort of since then he's just become the international standard snowman, hasn't he? And so that's kind of how we just kind of all draw him. And I think that's kind of how these things happen. So I'm going to give him this kind of hat, but he's having his hat put on. I think we're going to need some characters working on him. So I'm going to draw a scarf coming around there like that, and we're going to want that kind of flying up there, and then it will be coming down kind of like that as well. I was thinking as I was drawing something like this the other day, and just kind of planning and just doing it in pencil, and just kind of working it. And here you see I had started to think I'll have his hand out there, and I thought no, that's going to cause problems. And so I sort of come back like that, and it's almost like sculpting in a way, isn't it? Maybe that's a way of thinking about it. So if you think of it as kind of sculpting, and then you're sort of adding little bits, because I'm thinking it needs to be the same length as that. And in fact, I want to have a shoulder and a slight kind of curve like that, maybe. And that's kind of not quite the right angle there, because it wants to be more jaunty. And what I'm thinking is around here we're going to have one of the children that's making this snowman, and we're going to want that sort of sleeve. And I'm going to make this really easy just by having mittens on and not drawing complicated gloves. So that will be something like that. And then we're going to want a bobble hat on as well, which will be something like that. And I think maybe move the eyes around there a little bit like that, and a little nose and a little happy mouth, and just kind of make it slightly dynamic, so that it's kind of kind of stretching for it, and sort of boots stuck in the snow like that, stretching round the corner. And then we'll have another child around here. So I'm having to think, if you're holding a hat, then your thumb will be on the top, so the underneath of the mittens will be about there. That's about right, yeah. That will be going there. And I have a mirror. You can probably see it just there. I have a mirror. Let me see if I can look in there. Can you see? Yeah, there we are. I have a mirror there which I picked up at an auction years and years ago, and nobody wanted it. And in fact, it's from a dressing table, and somebody's thrown the dressing table out and saved that bit, and they kind of painted it all in kind of fairground colour-y kind of thing. And nobody wanted it, and I got it for, I don't know, £1 or something like that. I thought, I'll have that in my studio so that I can sort of make funny faces in it and twist my hand in so I can see what my hand is doing while I want to draw things. So having a mirror close by while you're drawing is a good idea. So that's a little sort of thumb going in there and the thing. So what we want is to have this little head about like that, and it's kind of putting it, stretching to get this hat on top of this enormous snowman that they've spent all afternoon making. And so if we're stretching, then we're going to have I think we're going to have a little leg sort of coming down like that, and the Wellington boots and kind of hidden in the snow. And then I think this leg's going to be, you know, when you're stretching and you take one foot off the ground, and I think that's going to be something like that. And they're probably bright red Wellington boots as well, aren't they? So if we had something like that, that's kind of what I'm imagining. And then I'm thinking how this could go, something like that. So I want to have something more happening there. How about a little sledge or something? Little toboggan kind of thing sitting in the snow, and a bit of rope around there. It leaves a little bit of space here to write Happy Christmas or Happy Holidays or something like that. And then here maybe we could have a little bit of something like that coming down there to give a bit of a Christmassy feel to it. I'm just going to come and see if you have anything to say about that so far. That's the one I want. That's the one I want. And I got, I want that camera there. Let me see. We've got an awful lot to say. There we are. Hello from India. Actually, Bobby, how, Jessica, that's right. Big set. Hey, Bobby. You guys are pals. Akashna. I need to put my glasses back on. Akashna B says, hey, with three. Hey, with three exclamation marks. Jack Bauer, saludos desde Mexico. Hello from Mexico. How are you? And Demetrius Kelly says, awesome, thank you. Phantomates, if we're not a patron, do we never get to see the extra things but just later down the line, or is it exclusive? Quite a lot of it's exclusive. There's a lot of exclusive stuff on Patreon. And yeah, and I thought I kind of feel it should be that way, but I show you how to draw. I show you how to draw that pretzel. It'll be coming out there on Thursday, I think. Yeah. Demetrius Kelly, okay, cool. Marilyn McLean, hello from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. How are you doing? Chris Allen, hi Shoo. Can you recommend if starting to draw landscapes is best first practice from photographs? Thanks. That's really difficult. I mean, you know, if you live in the UK and you want to draw a landscape of the Australian outback, you can't get there, can you? And if you wanted to do, you know, a beautiful summer, you know, scene in Suffolk in England now, you wouldn't be able to do that. So, you know, you really do need to use photographs. And I think photographs, you can always practice and practice and practice, but there's nothing quite like sitting in front of a landscape and just being there and being in that moment and painting it. It's just different. So there are no rules. There are no rules about it, Chris. Easy Fun says, hello. Chris Madras says, buenas tardes. LL says, hello. So happy to see you live. Are you working on any new books? I am not right at the moment. I'm just sort of clearing my decks of various things at the moment. Phantom X, pay to win, basically. That's life. Okay. Bernardino Briseño says, saludos de Guadalajara, Jalisco. Is that Jalisco? Is that how you pronounce it? Patrick Haugen tried to say Hundemanje. It's Strundas Fedoglis. Hundemanje. I think we pronounce the Hundebanj. I think it's Hundebanj. Because you got that. No, we're talking Norwegian here, by the way. So I'm thinking of how you pronounce chocolate, which is S. C, but that has the J in there. So it's Hundebanj. Is that right? Brexton Eisenberg. Hi. We're singing. Hey. A lot of that going on. So let me go back and do some more drawing. And I tell you what, since we were talking about Patreon, if you enjoy these shows and you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee to keep me going, head on over to patreon.com/Shoo Rayner, where you will find all the details of how you can support this channel. In the meantime, on with the show. Indeed, on with the show. And I have got my light table here. If I can zoom right out so you can see that. I've got my light pad here, and it's upside. I'm going to keep pressing that. If I press that, the light goes off, you see. So I know I'm going to keep touching it. But anyway, let's zoom back in again, like that. And I'm going to get some nice paper. So today, let me think. What have I got? Yeah, no, I'll use this Arches, except that is empty. So I'm going to use this Arches Aquarelle. Oh, there are all sorts of bits of things there. And now, if I was on the TV, of course, I'd have this all prepared beforehand, wouldn't I? And so you can hardly see what's going on there. So I'm going to just turn these lights out for a moment so you can kind of see. Can you see? It's quite dark, isn't it? And can we get, maybe that can get brighter a little bit. So, see, I said I was going to keep pressing that and it would turn off. So this is what I do. The main reason I started doing this is because I used to draw onto the watercolour paper, and then I would erase all the pencil lines and I would scuff up the surface. But I found, since I got a light, and I used to stick the drawings up on the windows originally, because I didn't have a light table. Then I made a light table, one thing, and now they make these fantastic light pads. I need a piece of paper to rest on. I'm just going to get a bit of tissue paper like that. And now they make these light pads, so it just makes things a lot easier, really. So I'm going to draw around there, and then we can draw the crown, brim of the hat, isn't it? The brim of the hat. And then we want that kind of, I don't think I've quite got this mittens. It should be looking more puffy, really, isn't it? But never mind. And then, yeah, and the carrot needs to start round about there, doesn't it? So if I do something like that, so I'm going to have the carrot like that. And I think we need to kind of see a bit of the hat like that, so it isn't quite on the, that shouldn't be, that's not right. So I'm making it up as I go along. Here we are. So I'm just going to make the head slightly smaller in that case, I think. So that's going to come around there like that, and he's got a slightly flattened head. I don't know what the eyes are made of, but I'm going to make them slightly shiny because that just adds a bit of, gives them a bit of life. And I'm going to think they're just kind of drawn
a smile on there with their fingers. They kind of poked it in and dragged it around. And I don't know where they got this top hat from. I think when I was young, I always feel so old when I say that. When I were young and I were a lad, you came across top hats in, you know, dressing up boxes and things like that. And I think it's because, you know, there was a time when top hats were worn, not by everybody, but by some people. And so those hats, when they went out of fashion, they all kind of ended up in dressing up boxes and things like that. And you did sort of see them around, and they would appear in antique shops and junk shops and things like that. But that supply has kind of run out now, really. And I think if you have a nice old top hat and you put it into an auction or an antique shop now, you get quite a good price for it now. But they were, I'm just going to have a little hint of that, yeah, the hand on the other side. So, but it's, again, it's just kind of traditional, isn't it, that a snowman wears a top hat. But then again, you know, since Raymond Briggs' snowman, then he didn't he? And I'm thinking, right, we'll have a kind of a collar coming around like that with a bit of zippiness there, so we can bring the snowman's arms around there. I hope you're seeing this all okay. I know it's a bit grey, isn't it? I'm just looking to see if there are any comments, but there's quite a lot of comments, so it's a bit hard to just keep up with. So I'm just going to do that, and then we can draw the kind of the brim of the bobble hat, and then we're going to have the crown of the bobble hat. And because we're kind of looking from below, as it were, because the child's got their head tilted up, we're looking from below, so we're not going to see the whole of the bobble. That'll be just around the corner. And I think we're just going to have a kind of a smiley face like that. That's probably quite enough. And we want this to sort of come down there, and we've got that kind of elasticated waist kind of thing there, and we bring that there, and it's a lot deeper around here because that boot no, yeah, that boot has kind of fallen into the snow, got stuck into the snow there like that. And next, so we might see a tiny bit of that there, and then we want to draw this coat, so that'll be the sleeve coming there, and I think we'll get a bit of collar sticking up there like that. And you know, I think it's all about fashions, isn't it? And I think once a traditional kind of picture like this they'd have had a little coat rather than, you know, a longer coat rather than an anoraki kind of zip up the front kind of coat. And so I'm going to do a slight little curve in there on the arm just to give a bit of shape to it. And then I'm going to, so these kind of bits of snow, obviously snow isn't all made of sort of sharp, clear lines. So if you sort of dot them at the end, then they just kind of fade away like that. And then we want to bring this leg coming in there a little bit in the knee, and then we want to have this going to make them quite a big kind of Wellington boot like that, which usually sort of comes up around like that. And again, we're going to, well, they're big boots. they got hand-me-down boots, which have been handed down from a big brother or big sister or something like that. So they sort of go tramping around in the snow, tripping up, and that'll be zigzag like that. and then that sort of comes around like that. That's about it. So we can draw this face, and we might have a few little bits of hair coming in like that, which just kind of suggests that it's a girl, but it doesn't have to be. Like that, and then we can draw around like that, and then that's the kind of the knitting stretchy bit. And again, we want our the crown of the bobble hat, and again the bobble wants to be about like that. And we can have a few more of these sort of bits in the snow. It's kind of the snow texture. And then we were going to have the a sledge here, weren't we? So I'm going to that'll be a rope like that, and then that's sort of tied around the it's kind of a toboggan-y kind of thing. So if I draw that there, and then that's the snow that it's kind of resting in there, and then that will come across, and then we're going to want another I should have sketched this in a bit better, shouldn't I? Anyway, it's going to be something like that, and then we usually get a bit going across like that, don't we? And then we're going to want to have kind of slats across the front like that, and we've got the runners along the front there, and then we can have these kind of bits that, so that, oh yeah, we'll have another one in there, and then those will go something like that. So it's looking roughly right. Of course, some of you watching this have maybe never seen snow in all your life, never been on a sledge or anything. So thinking, what is it all about? So that's the zip down the front, and then I think we're also going to want a little bit of the edge. So this is kind of the under the armpits there, basically. Actually, I'm reluctant to do that because that's going to make it a bit messy. So I'm just going to put a bit of snowy countryside in the background like that, and then I think I can turn the lights back on. So I'll turn that off and turn these on, move that back to there, and I think we're back to where we were. Good. And I'll come back and see what your comments are. That's the camera I want there, I think. Am I seeing what's happening? What's happening? Yes, that's good. That's good. All right. So, how are we doing? So, we're working on any books. Hi, hey. Patrick Haugen. It's a Norwegian accent. Hello. You have a patron? I do. I have a patron page. Daniel Fleischman, do you usually draw an idea for a book first, or write it then draw? It's a bit of both, really. Sometimes an idea comes from a drawing, and you sort of draw a character, and it just kind of grows like that. And I could see, we've got Jessica Taylor on the screen there saying, oh, they're all appearing on the screen. That's very complicated. Sometimes you draw and a character appears, and then a story comes from that. Sometimes I have to do a lot of drawing before I ever start writing, but while I'm drawing, the ideas are coming, and it's all in much of a muchness. And then sometimes you just get an idea and you write it, and then you have to sort of find the character by drawing. So it's different every time. Where are we? So, hey Sue, you made it from South Africa. Says Sesh Jaws. Hi Sesh, how are you? Can you show some of your new sketches? If you can write the letters. Patron. Crispin Dry, if you can write the letters of the alphabet, you can draw. It's just practice. It's absolutely right. Demetrius Kelly says bye. Okay. It's nice seeing you. Hello from Meridian, Idaho. Hi, how are you? That's J. Elcop. Vintage Enthusiast. Hello, Mr. Shoo. How did you find being locked down? It's a bit tedious, isn't it? And yeah, I know, as I was saying earlier, in Germany, they're all going back into lockdown. I live in this sort of quite countrified place, and our little area has suddenly doubled its numbers in a week. And we're
A little bit worried we might go up a tier. They're announcing that tomorrow. A little bit worried we might be going into tier 3. We're in tier 2 at the moment, which means that I don't know what it means. That's half the problem with it. We have all these tiers and things like that, so you don't really know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do unless you type into Google and say, what am I allowed to do? For me, it's not too bad. I kind of live in a little country town, right on the edge of a country town. So we could just go walking out into the countryside. We got the forest right on our doorstep, so you can walk in the forest and the countryside. So that was very nice. And I have my little studio, my little shed here, and I just kept coming in here the same as I always had done. And so luckily I had some work to keep going on, but you know, we just have to keep going, don't we? I keep thinking of new ways of keeping going. So lockdown. So Jason, hello. Jason, you should just say hello twice. Jason, hello. Matt Marshall, I don't know how long I'll get to stay, but I wanted to at least say hello, Mr. Shoo. Hello, Matt Marshall. How are you? We're going through this. I don't know. There we are. Lawrence says, Shoo, a snowman joke. Why was the snowman rummaging it in a bag of carrots? He was picking his nose. Oh dear. Daniel Fleischman says, I can see it good. I think that's when it was dark, wasn't it? So Messier NGC says, wow, Lawrence, Shoo, the light box is too dark. It's not very clear. Need to bring more light so people can see the drawing easier. Yeah, it's not so easy because I'm using quite thick paper, and that's about the brightest I can do it, I'm afraid. Miles Stozuk says, remember me? I'm the spamming guy. Okay, but don't spam now. Jessica Taylor says, have you ever made a snowman? I have made lots and lots of snowmen in my time. Yes, I have. I can't find where are we. Daniel Fleischman, how do you decide on how to draw people's expressions, laugh, cry, etc., make it look like that? Practice. And sketchbook, this is where the sketchbook comes in. You know, if you just sort of sit there and you sketch people, and it's good sketching on the TV. Sketching on the TV is really, although there's a really weird thing on the concurrent views, sketching on the TV is really good because TV and movies now, they change the screen every 3 seconds. And so you can see an expression, and go, oh, and you draw it and it's gone. And so you can just draw it really quickly, and you can just keep drawing and drawing. You can, there are, so I know I've done videos, I can't show you now, but I've done videos where, about expressions, and I've got a series about drawing cartoon people, and it's about starting off really basic shapes of the nose as an L and the eyes as a dot, and you can sort of work from there, and that dot then becomes sort of, you know, little lines for kind of smiling, and it's kind of building up. It's like a language, it's like an alphabet. As we were saying earlier, if you can draw the alphabet, you can draw. If you've learned the alphabet, you can learn this kind of alphabet of facial expressions, and it's like a grammar. So you learn, for the eyes, you learn that there are shapes that you can do. There are dots, there are lines, there are curves and things, and each of those has a meaning. But there's also a different kind of mouth that you can do. You know, you can do a little line or a little ooh or a little sort of like a slice of lemon. Each of those mouth shapes that you do has a different expression. And eyebrows, eyebrows as well, you know, up, down, they have different meanings. But when you put them together, then each of those shapes is like a letter. And when you put them together, then the face becomes a word, and that word has meaning. And when you put those little lines together, then the whole thing then has meaning as an expression. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Maybe I'll draw something later. B5 Bombshell TV. Hello, I used to learn to draw from you. Great memories on this channel. Thank you. I'm glad you come back. Patrick Haugen, you need to learn Norwegian. Yeah. I do. You know, my min mor er fra Norge. Yeah. B5 Bombshell ITV. Is that Bombshell TV, not ITV? I much miss your easy drawing videos. Well, they're still there. I'm still making them. Phantom X, why do YouTubers beg for money? Because it costs to do this. They don't beg for money. They're asking you to support them to do it. You can't keep producing videos and content all week forever and ever and ever. And you can't make the content get better and better forever and ever, because at some point the whole thing becomes like a business and you're doing it 24 hours a day, and if you're not earning anything, then you can't do it. It's a chicken and egg thing. So that's why YouTubers keep saying, please support me, please come and support me on Patreon. And some people do, and they help to keep the whole thing going. And I think most YouTubers give a whole lot away free on YouTube, and then they give a little bit more on Patreon for those who want to help support them, which I think is fair, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful to my patrons. So Pam Walker, thank you, Shoo. That drawing was really lovely. I'm gonna watercolor it in a moment. Pam says, I have to go, but Merry Christmas. Judy the Big Shed says, I have been home since the 10th of March. Keep it simple. Goodness me. I know I'm having to go to a funeral tomorrow. It's not COVID related. It's a very, very old lady I've known for a very long time, and so I'm going to be able to actually see my sister for the first time since March, but I can't go into her house, and she came out of her house for the first time this week to go to her doctor's, and she hasn't been out of her house since March. So yeah, it's difficult. LL, do you have a Pinterest account? Would be fun to see what inspires you. I do, but I don't use it. It's just too much work. It's another thing to do, isn't it? X Phantom X says ad revenue and sponsors. Yeah, that's what patrons are. Okay, so we'll give that up from now. Okay, I'm going to go back and what was that, Bombshell? I would still know how to draw an iPhone 4 from you, if that tells you how long I've been subscribed. That's a long time ago, isn't it? So let's go back and look at this illustration and see what we are doing. In fact, I should have been overhead. There we are. In fact, what I should have been doing is I should have done this first. So I'm going to use this glue stuff again. So this is the PBO drawing gum. So we've been using this a lot. What I'm going to do is find my glasses again. So I'm going to draw. So I've cut this. This is just like a cane that you support flowers and things with. So I'm going to put Happy Holidays because it's going to fit more easily. And I'm going to draw her happy. And of course you can take much more time over this. Holidays. Like that. So this is this gum, which is a kind of resist. So you can paint over. Once it's dry, you can paint over it. And I was going to try and get a toothbrush, and I can't find my. But I found this old oil painting brush, which I don't use oil paint, and so I don't really use this for anything. So what I'm hoping might work, I might be able to just squeeze that in there a little bit like that, and then I'm going to flick. Is that the wrong way? Oh, it's going everywhere. Hang on. Oh. So I'm going to try. Oh, that was a good. Because it's a bit more interesting if you flick it, I think, and you can get. I think a toothbrush would have been much better, actually. I think because
because you get bigger splodges. I don't know if you can see any of that, can you? So this poor child's going to be covered in snow. It's like somebody's thrown a snowball at them. And we'll just see what happens with that. So I'm going to let that dry for a moment, and I'm going to stick this straight into a jam jar full of water like that, because otherwise it will all get gummed up immediately. And I'm getting water on the paper. It's dangerous. I'm being dangerous having water over the drawing. I had a great big accident this week, and Mrs. Rayner brought me a cup of coffee in a mug which comes to a very fine narrow bottom, and of course it tipped over over a load of books and artwork and all over my desk. So be careful with liquids. And best of all, keep them well away from your desk if you can. So I'll just try and dry that a bit. I'm going to get my hairdryer onto this, see if I can speed up the drying. And I'll come back and see if there are any more comments. Actually, while I'm thinking about that, very quickly, while you are watching this, look for a subscribe button and click it, and then click the little bell that pops up, and then click the word all, and then you will be notified next time I have a live stream coming up, because you'd much rather be watching this live than watching it afterwards. Go on, make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner live drawing channel. Indeed, make sure you are subscribed. Click down there, do it now, keep coming back. I'm planning on doing this Wednesday drawing show kind of every week, until I've got nothing left to say, or until nobody else wants to watch it. So yeah, so it's a kind of, I think lockdown and Corona has changed an awful lot of things. And I first did a Wednesday drawing show about 10 years ago, and I used to edit it and put it out, and it was very, very hard work. And then one day I thought it'd be, maybe I could do it live, and I tried doing it live for a little bit, and it was still very hard work. But now all these technologies have kind of caught up, and I've got my little box here where I can change from one camera to another, and the time has come. So and also with Corona, it means I'm not kind of going out in the country visiting schools and things like that. So I'm actually here, and I think that was another thing that was always a problem with trying to do live shows, is not actually being here. So I will be now. So LL says yes, another thing to stay on top of. I think you mean Pinterest, don't you? Happy holidays to you and your family. You can have too many different social media kind of accounts and things, and in the end you don't have any time to yourself. Bernardino Briseño says, hello, which one is better, to copy a projector or a light box? Whatever you've got. I think whatever you've got is the best. And I used to, when I started drawing a long time ago, so when I was sort of 18, 20, something like that, and I used to take transparencies, photograph colour transparencies in my camera, and you'd send them off and you'd have to wait for a week for them to come back. Those little slides, do you remember? And I had a projector, and then I would project on the wall, and I would get a piece of paper or something, and I would use that, and that was really, really useful. So, and I think if you want to do something really big, so I have an LCD projector, and if I want to do something really big, then I can do a little sketch like I've just done now, and I can scan it, and then I can project it up on a wall, to get it full size on if I wanted to do it really, really big. So that's a really good thing. But with I use the light pad mainly because it's quick, it's there. I think if you're using a projector, it's more complicated, more steps involved. And the light pad is there. It means then I can draw the ink straight onto the surface, and I'm not erasing the paper, which means that you're kind of rubbing the surface of the paper, which kind of destroys
some of the fibres on the paper. Ah, there we are. Bombshell TV, since I was in what I think would be either the last year or what you call primary school or the first year or secondary. I'm 21 now, so yeah. so you've been watching a long time. Fantastic. Bombshell, I'm not sure I live in the US. Yeah, we would call it primary, yeah. Either last year, yeah, so yeah, last year of primary is you're about 11 years old, something like that, yeah, which I think it kind of works out the same with elementary, I think, pretty much. Charles Akifa says THBE, which means something. Totally hunky babe something. Thank you for calling me that. There we go. Chris Madry says, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, look, somewhere down there is a thing. Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Becky Marie says, I need a light box too. You do. And if you click Shoo Rayner light pad, if you search YouTube, Shoo Rayner drawing light pad or something, you'll find I got a review and there'll be a link there as well, which I get money for because it's an Amazon affiliate link. It's all about money, isn't it? It's all about money, YouTube. Flower Studios, something like the Flower Studios. Love your videos, thank you. Hey B San, I used to dream of becoming an illustrator when watching one of your videos a long time ago, but have to give up since I didn't have a chance. But I still like drawing now. Well, you still have a chance. You still have a chance. You still have a chance until the day you die. But if you keep working at it, and if you're really determined to do something and you really work at it, you will get there. I'm not saying you're going to be the world's most famous illustrator or anything, but it's something, you know. But at the same time, as I often say, you know, if you want to become a professional illustrator, a professional artist, it's a different thing. It becomes a job. And sometimes it's nice just to do something because you enjoy doing it, and it's a kind of thing you do to relax and whatever. And it can get quite stressful being a professional creative, because people kind of assume you can just come up with brilliant ideas and just do brilliant stuff, and sometimes, you know, you're not in the mood. Sometimes you're depressed, and sometimes things are going on at home, in the family, whatever, and the last thing you feel like doing is being creative. So yeah, being a professional creative it can be quite stressful at sometimes. So sometimes it's quite nice just to do it for fun, and it doesn't mean that you're no good at it or that you're not as good as a professional. I know many amateurs who don't do it for money. I know many amateurs who are much better technically and whatever than professionals, but the professionals that they are better at do it, and they do it on time, and they deliver, and they're doing it for work. Whereas the amateurs maybe take longer, and you know, they set a date to finish by. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they don't finish. A professional, you have to have it finished on time. Lawrence says, Shoo, do you think you will still draw and watercolour when you retire? Retire? What's that? Bombshell TV, do you know who Paul Priestley is? Yes. Paul Priestley, who is... Hang on a minute. So Paul Priestley, who wrote the book about biscuits. You'll have to tell me. Big Shed Art. Judy says, Huion. That's what my one is. That's right. Becky Murray, smile. And Millie Smith says, hey, Shoo. Hi, Millie. Hey, Millie. There we are. I'm going to go back to the overhead camera because that should have dried now. And I can now get my my paint box. So this is an Aquash, Pentel Aquash watercolor brush. I need my glasses back on. And I am going to start like I did last time, actually, I think, in the background. And I'm going to do a similar kind. I'm just
cleaning this. So the water is in the handle of this brush, so if I squeeze it a bit, then sort of water comes out, and if you squeeze it and clean it, then you get a nice clean brush. So I am once again going straight to Naples yellow, which I'm gonna put into here, and I'm putting this in quite wet like that, and there'll be a bit around there as well. And what I will also do for on Patreon, you see, it's so unfair. It's so unfair if you're not on Patreon. But anyway, you're watching what I'm doing. But what I will do on Patreon is I'll edit down this video so you just can watch this whole thing being painted and not have all the waiting and the stuff in between. So I'm going to do that. I need to clear that. And there, like that. And we're going to have, so, and then I'm going to, I'm being a bit lazy here, should sort of mix the blue up a bit, because it's a bit unlikely, that blue. It's a bit too, what would you say, sort of manufactured, and it's not a real kind of blue sky colour. That is blues are really difficult. I think they're the hardest thing in watercolour. And as I always say, and Clay, I don't know if Clay's joined us yet or if Clay's watching. Clay Ratcliffe sent me a thing this week. He'd been writing about watercolour and how I'm just going to put these little streaks in here. So it's this kind of northern hemisphere kind of winter afternoon kind of thing going on here with these little pink streaks of sunset. And he was saying about the perception that watercolour is for kids because kids get given watercolour for one reason: it's kind of easy to clean, and everybody thinks, oh, oil paint is the most important thing, and that's really, that's what the real artists use, and how real artists, oil painters, of course, oil paint never dries, so you can scrape it away and make mistakes and have another go until your heart's content. But watercolour, you've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to get straight in there and get on with it. So I just put some little bits of orange in there as well, I think, something like that. And I think we need a bit of slightly darker blue up at the top, just to... watercolour can be quite unforgiving, and so you need to do a lot of it to kind of get to know your medium. But it's the same with anything, if you want to be a great footballer, you have to spend a lot of time kicking a ball around just to know what what they're capable of. If you want to be a great dancer or anything, you need to practice. So I'm putting a little drip of kind of blue in there, and then I'm cleaning my brush, and I'm now painting with clear water, and I'm going to let that kind of now fade in, and that's too much, and we want to have kind of it needs to remain light around here, because you've got a kind of an ambient kind of colour in there. In fact, should get a little bit of orange tinge on the edge there. I'll come back to that, have a think about that. And again, let's do something like that. And I'm cleaning my brush, dib dab, and just kind of adding clear water so that it all just kind of fades around there, and you're going to get a bit of a shadow under the nose. We're getting a bit of a shadow under the hat there as well, won't we? And it's going to be a bit shadowy around there. The shadow of the snowman. And while I'm doing something like that, then let's assume the light is sort of coming in this direction, so then we can add sort of shadows in there. And it dawned on me, there's, sometimes people ask, have I got a reference picture here? No. This is what I did earlier while I was just thinking about what I might do today. Originally I was going to have Father Christmases having a fight, and I thought, it's not really a very happy Christmas thing, and then that looked a bit too aggressive, and then I thought, oh yeah, that's more like it. So, but I have no reference in front of me about colours or anything like that. I have no pictures of these kids there from my imagination. And that again comes from just kind of years and years of doing it, I think. And there are times when, I think if I was starting out on a book and there was going to be a lot of scenes out in the snow, something like that, I would then I would do a lot of sort of Googling for snow scenes and things, and I would probably be Googling for snow clothes and really carefully looking at, sort of because things subtly change. Fashions change very, very subtly. And suddenly you find, you draw what you think is right, and then you suddenly find everybody's actually wearing something quite different, and what you've drawn looks a little bit old-fashioned and out of date. I'll just let that dry for a moment and come back and see what we have got going on here. Fluent Studios says, what type of pens would you recommend? I've lost it. There we are. I love the Rotring Tikky graphic, and I tend to use a 0.3. I don't know if that's going to focus. Probably not. And I love this pen, and I've tried many others, and I keep coming back to it because it is definitely black, and it dries definitely waterproof, and it dries quite quickly waterproof as well, which is quite important. If you're doing watercolour, you don't want it sort of seeping into the colours and dirtying up the colours. And the 0.3 I find is a really nice size. Sometimes it's got a fibre kind of tip on the end. Sometimes that splits. And then I love it even more because it kind of does interesting things. And I think it's kind of meant to, I think the idea is you kind of have it vertical, and you kind of draw, and you will get an exact 0.3 width. But I think the way I mistreat it, and so you can get all sorts of effects out of it, but it's that waterproofness and that very dark black that is the important thing for me. And I keep coming back to that pen. There's another pen that I quite like, which I've shown once or twice, which is the Sailor Food pen, and it has a bent nib. I don't know if you can see that the nib is bent. Anyway, the nib is bent. So, well, I'll show you in a moment, actually, when I go back to the overhead camera. And the nib is bent, so when you have it flat, you can get a really fine. You can get a lot of ink coming out of it. If you turn it over, you can get it really fine. So you can get an awful lot of shape out of one nib. We've got lots coming along now. What type of pens? Here's another illustrator who I've also started to learn from on YouTube. Oh, right, there we go, good. I know what. Oh, yeah. Where were you saying? I can't find that name now. It's really difficult to... Anyway, I'll go back through. Paul Priestley. No, yes, and I'm getting very confused about... Yeah. Anyway, so much to read.
Bombshell TV, what he talked about with different ways to turn and tilt and twist the pencil tip while you're making a line, just to really opened up my eyes to different techniques, just like you have. Exactly. Yeah, and you as you draw with a pencil, then the graphite tip sort of is changing shape because you're leaving bits of it behind on the paper. So as you turn it, then you're going to get different shapes coming out of your pencil. Yeah. Samsung, oh no, Billy stands, guys, drew Billy and post it. Can you see it? I want to know, do you like it? I don't know. Samusa86, hello again, Shoo, nice drawing. I didn't mention before, but I am an English teacher in Taiwan and have 2 students that love your channel, Edward and Alice. Hi, Edward and Alice. How are you doing? And also your videos are also used in their school here to teach drawing. Excellent. Drawing Kobach. Hello, Shoo. Good evening. Hello, Billy Stands. Hell, guys, can you see my drawing? I drew Billy and posted. No, we can't, I'm afraid. Bobby Heron. I've heard that when Johnny Singer Sargent retired from his amazing career as an oil painter, he went right back to using just watercolour for the rest of his life and was very pleased by it. I think he probably was, because he could just get on with it. and the oil painting, of course, he was doing lots of portraits, wasn't he, Singer Sargent? And so the oil painting was the job, and people were commissioning him to paint those portraits, and that's what they were expecting, that, you know, oil paint things. And when he went to paint for himself, he went for watercolor, because you can just do it, and it's just much lighter and fresher. And anyway, Father and Son Art TV vlog, thank you so much. I hope we can apply your teachings on watercolour on our drawings. I hope so too. Let me know. Yorona Che, Sing. When I draw, I always confuse where to put shadow. Do you have any technical stuff for it? I think I've got a few technical things, but just always think about where is the light coming from. And if you've got the lights coming from here and there's something blocking the way there, the shadow will be on the other side. And it depends also how far the light is away, that it's kind of got rays of light will be coming. So from a long way, they'll be coming like that. But if the light was here, then the rays would be coming out at a far more obtuse angle, wouldn't they? Obtuse? Where did that come from? When I draw, what kind of pencil I've done that. There we go. You know, Rona, the main thing for me is just knowing where the light is coming from in your picture. Exactly. Baconberry waterproof pens, Bombshell. If the light is behind what you're drawing, then the shadowy part will be the side that appears to be facing you. There you go. Samusa86, thanks, Shoo. They will be so happy you mentioned them. That's okay. Let's go back to the overhead camera. There we go. And so, I need a clean piece of tissue. Back to my favourite. This is Naples yellow I'm using here, so I'm just putting a little bit of that in there. Oh, that's putting quite a lot in there now, isn't it? In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this little bit of Naples yellowy down the side there, just maybe a little hint of just on the edge there, just kind of a reflection of the the light in the sky coming through. And then I'm just going to drop a little bit of this is kind of, what is it, Scarlet Lake I'm using here, and a little bit there as well, like that. Something tells me this is going to be a kind of a golden yellow kind of Parker-y kind of top. So I've given that a kind of a flat coat, and then I'm going to sort of pick up a bit more, which is, it's not solid colour, but I'm just kind of dropping it into the wet while it's still wet, and that'll let it kind of flow and give that little bit of sort of three-dimensionalness to the whole thing. And I think, yeah, I mean, if I was being really serious, you know, Parkers have you know, sort of stripes on the side and all sorts of things like that nowadays, and
I'd maybe do that, but I'm just being quick. So that will be there, and we can maybe have something similarly on the top, and let's have a little white pom-pom on the top there, and again I'm sort of dropping some more solid colour in on the top of it. We're going to need a, oh, that is a messy colour I made there by mistake, but I think that might, no, it's too messy. Clean it up. So I'm going to use my Naples yellow again. There's a kind of a base on this sledgy toboggan. It's an old-fashioned kind of wooden one, isn't it? Can you still get those? They're all plastic now, aren't they? This is Grandpa's old toboggan they found in the shed, and they're out having fun with it. There we go, something like that. And then they're usually got sort of steel runners on the front there as well, haven't they? Oh, I should have had. Let me show you this pen. So it has this bent nib, and if you draw it flat, you're getting quite a wide. And it's Japanese, so you can see immediately. You know, that looks like a Japanese thing. I probably said something really rude there. And if you turn it upside down, you get it really, really fine. So you can kind of do thin, thick, and thin like that. You get a lot out of that one. So we want to have something like in there as well. That's badly drawn. It hasn't got a sense of gravity in there. This rope would have fallen down there first. Anyway, let's draw this Wellington boot. So that's going to be something like that, and we'll have a bit of shininess in there. And again, I'm going to drop a bit of bright red in there like that, and that would be something like that. They're not really a matching pair the way I've drawn them, I don't think. Again, you know, I think, you know, this is kind of bashing something out in an hour or so. So I think we're well over an hour now, aren't we? And he can have kind of blue Wellingtons that's all you're seeing there. And I'm going to give him sort of grey purple trousers, something like that. We need something on the scarf, so I think we'll have add a bit of purple to that, I think, just to make it a bit different. And I'm kind of feeling rushed now. Because I think, you know, I've been at it an hour now, and you're probably thinking, I need to go and put the supper on, put the breakfast on, wherever you are, lunch on, wherever you are in the world. And let's have an ochre kind of string kind of colour on there, I think. But you know, if you're happy, I'll just keep going until I finish this. And she can have some kind of pinky trousers on underneath there, I think, something like that. I'll just do that very subtly, and I'll just kind of drop some darker colour into it while it's wet. And I think she could have a pinky hat too, and again with a white bobble on the top. So I can then, like I did before, I'm just dropping some darker colour in there. And carrot, how does snowman smell? I can't remember. There's another carrot joke about that. No, what is it? Yeah, I think we've done that joke, haven't we, Lawrence? Thank you. I feel there's another way of telling that joke with the carrots and the snowmen. I can't remember. So I'm gonna, I think what I'll do is I'll make that a kind of a purpley base, and I'm going to make this kind of a stripy scarf like that. And I think it's the mittens. I think the boys be something like that as well. I think maybe he needs a bit more shadow underneath there as well. You can just keep going. That's the thing about watercolor. It's all about layering, and you're adding and adding and adding, and building and building. And so every time you think, oh, there we are, nearly finished, you think, oh, I'll just add a little bit here, and then because you've added that bit there, you have to add a bit more over there, and yeah, I'm just going to add a bit of sort of shadow in under there. And I think that purple shadow is much more interesting than the blue. So I'm going to add a little bit more. We'll have a bit of purple shadow underneath that carrot as well, I think, and maybe up there. Which means then, oh no, that's wrong there. I'll add a bit more blue into that so we can. So that's the thing, is if you just put something a bit too dark on, you can then just add water, and then that will thin it down before it has a chance to dry. I think these gloves, give him something kind of reddish, kind of like that. I think you'd be quite embarrassed having gloves that colour actually, but never mind. And I think we still need something a bit darker behind there. That's just still too yellow. And then with a clean brush we can just kind of bring that out like that. I think she's going to have a little bit of shade from that hat, and she maybe need I think she's going to need to have her hair sticking out underneath, so give her dark hair sticking out. I think we can add to this pom-pom hat a bit, and it's just really the one thing that's sticking out now is this hat that needs looking at, isn't it? A bit more shade there, and that's going to be shade underneath there. So let's have a look at this hat. So now I'm going to use neutral tint for this, which if you've followed me for a while you'll know I use a lot of neutral tint, and again I'm just going to have a little bit of shade left there and a bit of highlight. Now I'm dropping in much darker variation of it, and I'm just going to not quite paint to the edge, so that's going to kind of give the thickness of the brim by not painting it all the way. And again I'm going to drop more solid into it like that. And I think I need to what do I need to do? I think I need to let that dry for a moment. Maybe a little bit more shadiness in there like that, and I'm just going to let that dry for a moment and see if we have any new comments, and come back to this camera here. Now then, what type of pens would you reckon? I've done that, haven't you? Yeah, Rona, the main thing for me is just knowing where the light is coming from. Your picture, yes, what do we pen? If the light is behind what, yeah, we've done all that. Thanks, Shoo, we've done all that. Billy Stans, Crispin Joy says, Billy Stans, if you post your pic on Instagram with the hashtag Shooby-Doodle, she will see it. Somebody who knows. B5 Bombshell TV. When I took an art class in 12 years of school, I was almost over prepared for this one lesson on shading thanks to your videos. Oh my goodness, I'm just looking out here. The sky has gone this amazing kind of cream into purple colour. There we are. Yes, I think that must be really irritating for art teachers when somebody comes in, you're just about to teach them something, and then the student comes in, oh, no, look, this is how you do it, and they show you to do it better. Oh dear, it's not easy, is it? So, father and son art TV. My son mastered the art of doodling at a young age, but the problem is he's not good at colouring. Any tips for beginners? Honestly, I wouldn't say that I'm particularly good at colouring.
So there's there's the actual kind of not going over the lines bit, which I think at one stage you really want to try and keep within the lines, and then you become like Quentin Blake, and you just, and then suddenly you're allowed to not keep within the lines. So there are different sort of styles of that. It depends what you're colouring with, really. And I think maybe do a little bit of colour theory. Look into colour theory about kind of opposite colours and, sort of, I can't think of the word. Do a little bit of colour theory. Find out about that. 123 Rock Fan, follow us on our TV vlog is very funny. I'll go and have a look then. I just watched the Gary Cooper movie, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, which was the first use of the word doodling. Fancy. There we go. Frank Fribley. Hello from California. Hello from California. You're just waking up over there now. 123 Rock Fan, random trivia. Lol. Good. Okay, we're going to see if we're drying out a bit over on the camera. In fact, I'll just get my hairdryer to it a little bit more. Now, so what I want to do is find my glasses again, and I am thinking we've got a glove that needs colouring in there, so it's trying to think of something different all the time. She's got a terrible colour sense, hasn't she? Look, she's got green gloves. And I think when it comes to colouring something like this, like I say, I haven't got a reference picture. But I think what you could do is go onto Google and you type in kids clothing for snow days, something like that, and a whole lot of stuff will come up. And you go, oh yeah, that's a good colour combination, because, all those photographs have been posed by, sort of professional clothes people, and they want it to look good. And so you can use their kind of colour combinations and things like that, and learn from them. So that's a good way of doing, worrying about colour. I'm just going to do something like that. And I think we need a bit more kind of shadow coming from there. So again, I'm using sort of neutral tint for that sort of shadow there. There was something else I really wanted to do, I think up in the hat. I think I needed to have a bit more something a little bit stronger in there, and I think kind of under her armpits I think it needs to be a little bit stronger too. So I'm actually going to add that same purple in on top of that kind of orangey bit there, like that, and then maybe a bit of neutral tint too, and then I'm just gonna add a bit more onto this carrot as well, just to give that a bit of round the cornerness. And I think that's about all I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit of sort of shade in there and a shade in there, just to get that. And then I'll just give it a whoosh. And I'll come and see if you've had anything more to say, and then I'll come back and then I'll erase the stuff, so that if I like that, so that we can see the how the lettering comes out. So have we got any more? What else have we got? Hello from California, random trivia. Jennifer Fish says it's so cute. Thank you. Follow us on TV. Thanks. Thank you, 123 Rock Fan. Hope you like my son's first solo doodle upside down. I'm going to have to go and have a look at this, aren't I? Mills art. I just love your art. It tells stories. Well, yeah, that's because I'm an illustrator, and that's what an illustrator does. That's the thing. What makes illustration different from other kinds of art is that it is storytelling, and that is what an illustration is. It's telling a story. And even if you're doing illustrations for like an IKEA, how to put a kitchen cabinet together, you're still telling a story. You're saying, first we do this, and second we do that, and third we do that, and then with generally with an illustration, you're telling a story, Whereas other pictures are there to be pretty, or there to, say something about what's going on in your heart and soul at the moment. But illustration is all about storytelling. Lawrence Mayer, hi, how are you doing in there? Love that snowman scene, Shoo. Very cheerful and happy scene, thank you. Becky Marie, do you have a place to buy paper in bulk? Good way. I use, I don't know if you're in the UK, Becky. What's the name? The Seawhite of Brighton have lots of good paper, good price. And they have an online store, and I think if you're going to buy in bulk, and you're going to buy a lot of it, then you can sign in and get an account, and then you get a bit of discount as well, I think. But mostly they want kind of schools and organisations and shops and things to be doing that. But I have an account with them. So, Daniel Fleischman, great pick. Very festive and what I need today, thanks. Jennifer Fisher, do you ever visualise your real life situations and as an illustration? Like if you see your cat getting into the tree, do you immediately think about drawing it? Yeah, I think if you're an illustrator or an author, then you're constant. You spend your whole life seeing things and making notes and thinking, oh, I could use that. I could use that. And sometimes when it comes to drawing an illustrator, so, I mean, while I'm doing this, I'm kind of thinking. I'm going back to my childhood and thinking, I remember this. That toboggan is something we had in my childhood, yeah. So all the time it's all kind of feeding in, and that's what a sketchbook is really good for as well, because you can just quickly jot down those little sketches, and your sketchbook kind of builds up into this great big battery of ideas. So when you've run out, you can plug yourself in and recharge yourself. So Stacey Newbury, thank you, Mr. Shoo. Another nice morning with you. Thank you. It's afternoon here. But got to head out, says Bombshell TV. Got a Zoom meeting in 10 minutes. See you, Shoo. Have a great evening. Thank you. Becky Marie says paper costs so much in the USA. And says cool. Sorry, I don't know how to say that. Here is the winter spirit. Thanks. There we go. And I'll just go over and I will erase that lettering and see what happens. And we got this snow here as well, remember? So it's not quite as, I think if I'd have had an old toothbrush, it would have been a bit better, because you've had sort of different spattery sizes, so you're not really seeing the snow. So there we go. Happy holidays. It's just kind of showing through in there. Like that. There we go. And what we could just do, if I can find my glasses again. So we got the lettering there. Let's have it more blue. Oh, this is all getting very dirty. But we could just maybe do some kind of, oh, that's the wrong side, isn't it? Like that. So we can do a bit of kind of 3D-ness. Like that, just kind of floating in the sky. And so, yeah. You need to think about it. Again, this is shadows and the light is coming from that direction. You have to kind of think where it's coming from. And I think maybe, using this gum effect would be much more interesting if you had a much darker sky. Then it would sort of really stand out. And again, if you've got time to do the lettering much more neatly than I have done. And you can see, I think, well, let me zoom in a bit. That's the zoom. So you can see the snow here. Last time I did the snow, you may remember I got this sort of cane and I was blobbing it all over. And here is much more kind of organic. But because of the strength of the bristle or something, it's actually really quite fine. So a toothbrush would give you much more splattery kind of effect, a much nicer kind of snow effect. But that zoomed in like that looks really quite nice, doesn't it? Yeah. In fact, if I just zoom out slightly and just square that up a bit.
There. That's the way to do it. Just move that there. Perfect. How about that? And we'll come over here. Utku, I see it. This is going to be a way to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Says, here it is, the winter spirit. Yeah, exactly. Father and son. Oh, you think like my son. Every time he draws, there is a story on it. He keeps on repeating the story. He's a born illustrator. Jennifer Fisher, thanks so much. I like to write and do the same thing. Love your videos. Thank you. Bobby Aaron, such fun. Love this session. Great. Thank you. Oh, we got a message. Held for review. I'll have a look. It says, I love your drawing. I think we can allow that. I don't see what's the problem with that. Becky Marie, always inspiring, and thank you from Texas, and thank you for being here. So, oh my goodness, it's nearly an hour and a half. I think that's quite enough. I'll let you all go and make your cups of coffee, cups of tea. I've got a nice slice of cake waiting for me, so I am going to press this button now. So thanks for watching. Well, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you click that little subscribe button, and when you do, ring the bell so that you get notifications of when I am going to go live next. You can come along and join in and bring your ideas as well. In the meantime, stay safe, keep well, and keep drawing. Practice, 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 and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.